Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Catch, Hook, and Shoot. Today is Sunday, August the 12th. Shows getting posted a little bit later than normal this week. I'm sorry about that. Also, anybody who happened to listen to the show on Spotify or iTunes last week probably noticed the sound quality was horrible. Um, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened. I did re-record the show and repost it on Podbean, and it also did upload to YouTube as well, the corrected version. For some reason, though, it did not re-upload to Spotify and iTunes, so I do apologize for that. I believe I've got all the technical issues worked out. I'm sure as anybody who's watching the YouTube stream can tell, I've got a new video and audio setup, and got a new microphone, so hopefully it'll cut out some of the background noise and just a little bit better sound and better video quality. Uh, but hope everybody's enjoying the show. Hope everybody's following the show on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media outlets, and make sure you can download the show on Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts, Google Play, any of those places you can find it. Just search Catch Hook Shoot. If you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. So a lot of stuff going on in the world of pro wrestling this week. First and foremost, the biggest news coming out of this week is the joint promotion between Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, putting on a show WrestleMania weekend next year on April the 6th at Madison Square Garden. Tickets went on sale earlier this week and sold out. I want to say it was in less than an hour, but yeah, completely sold on Madison Square Garden, which is huge. I mean, there has not been a complete sellout like this for any wrestling show in like 3 or 4 years. WWE hasn't sold out Madison Square Garden in quite some time. And it's just huge news in general because Madison Square Garden for decades, since the 1950s, has been the exclusive, domain of WWE. So much so that Vince McMahon actually tried to block Ring of Honor from putting on a show there earlier this year. And of course, I think there was some legal wheeling and dealing going on from Ring of Honor that they were finally able to book the Garden. And like I said, of course, it's sold out now. Of course, there's people online that are just dumping all over it, saying, "Oh, the only reason it's sold out is because it's WrestleMania weekend." And well, yeah, I mean, it's WrestleMania weekend. Any independent show that wants to, you know, make their biggest payday of the year is going to put on a show in whatever city WrestleMania is happening at. It's been going on for years. It's a week-long, destination for any wrestling fan. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of wrestling fans in New York that weekend, not just WWE fans. I mean, yes, WrestleMania is the, kind of the culmination. It's the climax of that week. But, any indie show around pretty much is going to have a show that weekend. Any indie promotion, I should say, is going to have a show that weekend. I'm sure there's going to be a House of Hardcore show. There's going to be an Impact show. There's going to be, of course, Ring of Honor and New Japan doing the Garden. And, I think uh, it's definitely appropriate that there's going to be a show at the Garden because WWE has booked all of their events at the Barclays Center. That's where the Hall of Fame is going to be. That's where the NXT TakeOver will be. That the Barclays Center has pretty much become WWE's New York home now. They haven't done any pay-per-views or even TV from the Garden in years. So, why not let somebody else use that venue if they're able to? So I didn't really understand why Vince would try to block somebody from using it. I would think he would be ecstatic that there is so much attention on professional wrestling right now. Because WWE, of course, is going to reap the benefits of it just like everybody else. So, but for whatever anybody might have to say about it, the Madison Square Garden sold out April 6th. Ring of Honor and New Japan show. I'm sure it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be a great show with those two companies putting it on. I can't see any fathomable way that it could be a bad show or even a mediocre show. I'm sure they're going to pull out all the stops. You're going to see all their biggest stars there, and yeah, it's going to be huge. Now, another kind of related note, there's still rumors floating around that WWE is going to be doing their best to try to sign up all of the top independent talent within the next few months, probably by the end of the year. Of course, that would include, as I was saying on last week's show or a couple weeks ago, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Cody Rhodes, Juice Robinson, Matt Riddle, another big independent star that all the rumors are pointing to him signing with WWE sooner rather than later. And I mean, if WWE was able to pick these guys up, yes, it would be great for their careers. It'd be great for them financially. I'm just hoping that they're not gonna pick these guys up just so that New Japan or Ring of Honor or the other independents can't have them. I hope they have a plan for them. I hope they, utilize them to their full capabilities, to their full potential. And I mean, because ultimately WWE is pretty much the goal for anybody who gets into wrestling. No matter how big independent wrestling is, WWE is still top of the food chain in professional wrestling. So hopefully, if they're able to sign any of these guys, hopefully they, like I said, they do right by them and are not just picking them up just so that other promotions can't have them, because that would just, to me, that's just kind of petty if that's the case. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that one. Some other news coming out from New Japan. Of course, the G1 Climax tournament finished up this week. The finals was Kota Ibushi and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi took the victory and won the G1 Climax tournament. So congrats to him. Of course, he is one of New Japan's top stars right now, along with again, Kota Ibushi. I'm sure I didn't get a chance to see the match myself. I would love to, though. I'm sure it was spectacular. So hopefully I'll be able to check that out sometime soon here. Some other news from independent wrestling. Apparently, Colt Cabana has filed a lawsuit against CM Punk related to the lawsuit that they just finished dealing with from the WWE doctor. But apparently, according to Cabana, according to the information that's out there, Punk had agreed to pay legal fees. I don't know if it was like half or everything or what it was, but apparently he backed out of that. So Cabana is suing Punk for his portion of the legal fees from the WWE lawsuit. Moving on to what's going on in WWE right now. Of course, we're 1 week out from SummerSlam. Some more matches have been finalized for that and have been officially announced. One of those for the kickoff show is going to be Rusev and Lana versus Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega. I mean, yeah, it's a kickoff match. There's been the rivalry brewing more so with Lana and Vega than with Almas and Rusev. Of course, Aiden English getting involved, kind of costing Lana a couple of matches, costing Rusev a match. So, I mean, obviously, Almas and Rusev both very talented competitors, so it should be a decent match. Zelina Vega is a phenomenal wrestler as well. Lana is improved by leaps and bounds. Considering that she does not wrestle all that much, I think she does very well when she does get into the ring. You can tell that she has been training. If you follow her on social media, you can tell she takes it very seriously. She does, trains very hard, and she, like I said, she's vastly improved from the first time that she got in the ring. Another match that was announced for the Cruiserweight title is Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak. Again, I mean, can't see these two guys having a bad match. Both of them very talented cruiserweights, so that should be an entertaining match. I don't think the cruiserweights get as much attention as they should. Of course, really the only time you see them now is on 205 Live. They don't really feature them on Raw anymore. Which, I mean, it's cool that they have their own show, but I would like to see them featured on the larger stage a little bit more. So hopefully, maybe they'll get back to that at some point. But for right now, of course, if you want to see the cruiserweights, you got to check out 205 Live on the network. Another match that was officially announced was Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin. I had mentioned this last week. It was kind of a no-brainer that they were going to announce this one. I mentioned that I thought there would be some kind of stipulation attached, like if Balor wins, then he gets to be the Constable of Raw or something like that. As of right now, that's not the case. This is a straight up one-on-one match, which they've had a few on Raw already. They've put on some really good matches, and I'm looking for them to kick it up a couple of notches because it is SummerSlam. So it's definitely one I'm going to be watching. On another official announcement was The Miz versus Daniel Bryan. This is one match I think definitely has the possibility of stealing the show, because these are two of the top guys in WWE right now. I still maintain Miz is the top heel in WWE. He's just got his whole gimmick down pat. He's one of those heels along the same lines as Elias. He can have the crowd eaten out of his hand, and saying his catchphrases and things like that, and then he can bring them down with 2 seconds later just by cutting down the town or something like that. Classic heel stuff. And so him and Daniel Bryan, I expect to put on a phenomenal match, and like I said, definitely has the potential to steal the show. And of course, for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, the tournament finished up this past week. The New Day are the number one contender, so it'll be the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. There's not been an announcement of a match for the Raw Tag Team titles yet, which I'm kind of surprised, because there's been, the tag team scene on Raw has been featured pretty prominently lately, with the Deleters of Worlds, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, the B Team, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, and of course the Revival. So I was expecting to hear probably a three-way match between all three teams. Still could happen. I mean, there's still one more Raw before SummerSlam, so that could potentially be announced this week. But I can't see them leaving that one title off of the show, especially because, like I said, it has been featured pretty prominently on Raw the last few weeks. So I'm looking for some type of announcement this week as far as the Raw Tag Team titles go. And of course, there's also the NXT Takeover Brooklyn 4 happening next Saturday. One of the big matches I'm looking for in this one is Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane. Of course, they've wrestled a couple times before. The first time was in the finals of last year's Mae Young tournament, which Kairi Sane won. Then they had another match a little while after that, which Shayna Baszler won. So it's basically 1-1 right now. Not expecting Shayna Baszler to drop the title just yet. I figure it's going to be a great match, but I'm expecting Shayna Baszler to come out with the championship. Another match for the North American title is Ricochet versus Adam Cole. This one could be the match of the entire weekend. This one could steal not just the NXT show, but just steal the whole SummerSlam weekend. These are, in my eyes, the two top guys in NXT right now. Both of them pretty much flawless in the ring. So this is definitely one that I expect to steal the show. Another NXT title match for the tag team titles is Undisputed Era versus Mustache Mountain. Again, I mean, look up and down the NXT card. I mean, there's no, all of these are going to be amazing matches with all these guys. I mean, I've never been disappointed by an NXT takeover, and I don't expect this one to be any different. Then of course you've got Velveteen Dream taking on EC3 again. Two of the top guys in NXT, both pretty much perfect in the ring. You don't see either one of them have really any missteps or anything like that. So the whole NXT show should be fantastic. I haven't heard anything about a UK Championship match, so that may not be a part of the NXT Takeover this time. There's still one more NXT show before SummerSlam weekend comes up, so we'll have to see. But I don't think there's going to be a UK Championship match, so that may be the only WWE title not being defended this coming weekend. And some other pretty big news for WWE on Raw tomorrow night. Renee Young is going to be doing commentary with Corey Graves and Michael Cole for the entire show. That is huge, especially with the whole women's evolution going on. So it'll be the first time that there is a female announcer throughout the duration of the show. Of course, they've had guest commentators during like women's matches and things like that, but this will be for the entire show. And Renee Young definitely has earned it. She's done commentary in NXT before. I think she did pretty good there. And I mean that was a number of years ago, so I'm sure she's worked on honing her craft, and I expect it to be a pretty good show. She'll be of course filling in for the coach, and yeah, maybe become a more regular thing. Maybe we'll see her as a permanent fixture in the Raw announce booth, or maybe we'll see her on SmackDown. Who knows? Of course, the Mae Young Classic was held over this past week. Um, I've avoided any kind of spoilers or anything, so I have no information as far as who advanced, who's in the finals, or anything like that. I'm gonna try my best to avoid any kind of spoilers and just find out as I'm watching it. So I'm really looking forward to that being posted up on the network, so that I can check that out, because I expect it to be a really good tournament. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, we got Raw coming up tomorrow, SmackDown on Tuesday. Have to see, these are going to be the go-home shows for SummerSlam, so see if there's any new developments. See if, like I said, the only match I'm hoping that they'll announce is something for the Raw Tag Team titles. We'll have to see, because as of right now, those are the only titles not being defended over SummerSlam weekend. So, like I said, I expect to hear something about that tomorrow night on Raw. So what I am basically going to be talking about on this week's show, in honor of the Mae Young tournament taking place, in honor of Evolution coming up, and just the major advancements that have been made in women's wrestling the last few years to the point where they are finally getting their own WWE pay-per-view. I'm just going to be counting down my personal top 10 women wrestlers of all time. Like I said, it's just my opinion based strictly on, you know, who I think are the best, and nothing more really. So, if you agree, you disagree, make sure you leave me comments, shoot me an email. Do you think I have it right? Do you think my order maybe needs a little bit of tweaking? Should somebody move up? Should somebody move down? Should somebody not be on the list? Did I forget somebody who belongs on the list? Let me know. Tell me who your picks are. Who do you think are the best women of all time in the ring? So I'm going to start off at number 10. For me is Awesome Kong. Just a tremendous athlete, size-wise. Obviously, she's one of the most powerful women to ever step into a wrestling ring. She, of course, trained in Japan. She was a champion in Japan. She's wrestled in Shimmer, Ring of Honor, in WWE, in the UK. She was the NWA World Women's Champion. She's, of course, right now on the Netflix show Glow, and she probably made her biggest mark in TNA, just as the Monster Heel champion. She's a two-time TNA Knockouts champion. She's pretty much done it all as far as women's wrestling goes. Like I said, she's been the NWA World Women's Champion. She's been the Knockouts champion. Unfortunately, her WWE career got cut short because she ended up getting pregnant while she was with WWE, and just made the choice not to go back after that time. And so she didn't really get too much of a shot in WWE. Never had an opportunity to go for the WWE Women's Championship or Divas Championship, or whatever it might have been at that time. I honestly don't remember. But yeah, I definitely think with the accomplishments that she has, she definitely belongs on this list, at least as far as I'm concerned. Number 9 is Victoria, or Tara, as she was known in TNA. 5-time TNA Knockouts champion, 2-time WWE Women's Champion. Just, again, a phenomenal athlete and a good wrestler, great in-ring performer. Really at a time where, women weren't taken so seriously in WWE. The focus wasn't on their wrestling ability. It was more on, it was at a time, when they focused like on the gimmick matches for the women, for lack of a better term. It was all about the eye candy for the most part. Really, but was really a standout during that time because she was actually a wrestler. She wasn't just, eye candy, like I said. And of course, on TNA, they always at that time, took women's wrestling a lot more seriously than WWE did. In the earlier days of TNA, their women's division, their X division were the main things that I think brought them their audience, and she was a big part of that. Like I said, five-time Knockouts champion. She was a Knockouts tag team champion, and just really one of the top stars there for the time that she was there. Number 8 on my list is Ivory. Of course, she was originally known as Tina Ferrari in Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. She was the champion there when Glow kind of folded. David McLean started a new women's wrestling organization called POW, Powerful Women of Wrestling. She was a champion there. Wrestled at the Super Clash 3 with the AWA. Uh, and then, of course, moved on to WWE, became a women's champion there. She's a WWE Hall of Famer. And again, was in WWE at a time when the focus for women was not on their in-ring ability, but she was, one of the best women's wrestlers that they had, and wasn't, she was along the same lines as Tara, one of the top in-ring performers at a time when that wasn't really what the focus was for WWE, which honestly is kind of sad because WWE has had some truly great women wrestlers over the years, and there were a lot of times where they were not utilized properly. The women's division focused more along the lines, like I said, of it was all about eye candy, appealing to that 18 to 25 male demographic, which I was a part of when that was going on. So of course, at that time I wasn't complaining about it. Now it's like, oh, you know what? You had some talented women there. You should have maybe showed off more than just their assets, so to speak. Let them show off their abilities. But hey, it's all about women's wrestling now. That's what's important. They have evolved. And they are taking their women much more seriously, and they've become a prominent part of the show. Maybe not on the same level as the men, but they're definitely getting up there. And with the all women's pay-per-view coming up, I think that definitely puts them at the same level as the men, at least for that night. Hopefully, it is a continuing trend that women are just going to be featured more prominently in WWE, because that's been the case for the last 2-3 years. They're just getting more and more of the spotlight, which is fantastic. Next up on my list is number 7 is Sherry Martel, Sensational Sherry. Of course, started her career in the AWA. She was a 3-time AWA Women's Champion. She was the WWE Women's Champion. She was actually the one who took that title from the Fabulous Moolah, who held it for, I want to say, 30 plus years, probably longer than that. Then, of course, moved on to WCW, acted more in a managerial role there, got physically involved once in a while. She is now a WWE Hall of Famer as well. Unfortunately, passed away a few years ago, but definitely deserves a place on this list, and I have her here at number 7. Number 6 on my list is Medusa or Alundra Blaze, whichever you prefer. Another one started in the AWA as kind of a valet type role. She was part of Diamond Dallas Page's little faction there with Bad Company, and was also a wrestler with AWA as well. She was the first woman to win the award for Pro Wrestling Illustrated's Rookie of the Year. Wrestled extensively in Japan, was a champion over there, wrestled in WCW, of course, had that infamous moment on Nitro where she showed up with the WWE Women's Championship and dropped it in a trash can. She was a 3-time WWE Women's Champion and, of course, a Hall of Famer now as well. So I've got her here at number 6, definitely a trailblazer, so to speak. Again, that was, her time in WWE was before the Attitude Era really started. When they were trying to bring their women's division back up, and it just kind of didn't work at the time. Excuse me, and wasn't part of the Attitude Era. Of course, she was in WCW at that time. Was more or less of a valet for the most part. Had a few in-ring matches. Then, of course, when Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara took over in WCW, had a lot of kind of gimmick matches, intergender matches. Of course, was the cruiserweight champion in WCW for a little while, and but she's one again who definitely had the talent and the ability to hang in there with the guys and put on a good match with pretty much anybody they threw her in the ring with, and that's definitely a testament to her. So that yeah, sorry, that was number 6. Had to count there. Should have numbered these. Number 5 is Mickie James, 5-time WWE Women's Champion, WWE Divas Champion, 3-time TNA Knockout Champion, and I believe she is the only woman to hold all 3 of those titles, both WWF titles or WWE titles, the women's and divas, as well as the Knockouts Championship, and I mean, a 9-time world champion definitely belongs on this list, and she's still going today. She's been in the business for a very long time. Doesn't show any signs of slowing down. She's still, I would say she's probably in better shape now than when she first started in WWE, and that's saying a lot because she was in good shape then. So, she's it's one of those kind of becoming a classic story. The older somebody gets, the longer they're in the business, they just keep getting better and better, and that's how the great ones work. I mean, that's how Ric Flair always was. That's how guys like Sting. I mean, look at AJ Styles. Look how long he's been in the business. Go back and look at some of his early stuff. He's just gotten better and better over the years and doesn't show any signs of slowing down. So Mickie James definitely belongs in my top 5 here. Number 4 for me is Gail Kim, probably one of the best women's wrestlers in history. I dare say just one of the best wrestlers, period. Women, women's, men's, whatever. 7-time TNA Knockout Champion. She's in the TNA Hall of Fame. Won the WWE Women's Championship her first night in the company. Unfortunately, her WWE career really didn't go as well as her TNA career, which is sad because she was in WWE for a while, moved over to TNA, came back to WWE, and just wasn't put in that main event spot really, which I think was kind of, I don't know if that was done on purpose just to say, hey, this is as far as a TNA wrestler can get with us, or what it is, but Gail Kim really made her name in TNA. She was kind of the the catalyst of that women's division when it started really taking off, and garnering a lot of attention. And just that fact alone, that she was the centerpiece of that TNA women's division for as long as she was, for me, warrants a spot in my top 5 on this list at number 4. Number 3 on my list is Lita, of course, Hall of Famer, 4-time WWE Women's Champion, trained in Mexico. If you've ever listened to her story, as far as how she broke into the business in Mexico, she's just loves the pro wrestling business, and again, one of the greatest of all time in the ring. Some of her and Trish Stratus, of course, were the first women to main event Raw, which at that time was huge because, again, that was at a time when women's wrestling wasn't so prominently featured, wasn't all about the in-ring skills of the performers, but that was kind of, to me, that was kind of the point where people started to sit up and take notice, like, hey, these women are good. There are some good female wrestlers out there. Maybe we should pay a little bit more attention. Maybe we should feature them a little more prominently, take them a little more seriously. And so I look at that as kind of the first stone thrown into the water that made that little ripple. And obviously took a long time for it to get to where it is now, but to me that was kind of the catalyst that started women's wrestling moving to where it is today. Number 2 on my list, I kind of debated about this one, but realistically, I could not leave this person off. There's been quite a bit of controversy around her the last few years, and that's the Fabulous Moolah. Of course, former NWA World Women's Champion 5 times. She was the first ever WWE Women's Champion, which she held 4 times. Has been, or I should say, was a trainer to countless women wrestlers over the years. Of course, the NWA World Women's Championship, she actually at one point bought the rights to that championship and took it with her to WWE. So that's kind of what became the WWE Women's Championship, was the original NWA World Women's title that was brought over by Moolah. And she held that title I wanna say it was like 50 some years. I didn't look up the exact number of years because it varies because I heard her once say in an interview she held the title straight for like 50 plus years. But there were times in there she dropped the title, got it back, dropped the title, got it back. Obviously, she was a five-time NWA World Women's Champion, so obviously she lost it at some point. Um, like I said, four-time WWE Champion, first ever WWE Women's Champion. So I mean, her accomplishments in the ring cannot be denied. Like I said, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding her the last few years. You know, I'm not going to get into all of it because I mean, you've got one group of people saying Moolah was a horrible person. She did all these terrible things to the people that she trained. You got another group of people that say she was the most wonderful person in the world, and so it's just a matter of who do you believe? Because I mean, she's no longer with us. Not like we can sit her down and ask her about any of this stuff. So it is what it is. It just breaks down to who do you choose to believe. So that's pretty much all I'm gonna say about that part of it. But I think definitely one of the greats of all time. Some people may be surprised I put her at number two, but number one in my book, greatest women's wrestler of all time. I think she's definitely earned this title many times over, is Trish Stratus. Seven-time WWE Women's Champion. She was actually the WWE Hardcore Champion at one point. She's a Hall of Famer. And she started in that era where it was all about, it was all about the eye candy. It was all, the women were more so models than they were athletes. And she evolved. She herself evolved. She decided she wanted to learn the business. She wanted to put in the work and become a wrestler, and she did, and became one of the greatest, in my mind, the greatest women's champion of all time, the greatest women's wrestler of all time, period. Um, you know, definitely belongs at number one on this list. Definitely belongs on the list. I don't care who you have or what order you have them in. Trish Stratus has to be in the conversation, just because you watch how she evolved from a manager to a wrestler, and eventually to a champion and a Hall of Famer. That kind of mirrors where the WWE has gone, because it was all about the models and the eye candy, and it slowly has evolved over the years and is now all about you know all about these women as athletes, all about them as professional wrestlers, and being taken much more seriously, put on the same level as the men. Hopefully they will eventually be on a completely equal playing field as far as being showcased, as far as you know quality and length of the matches that they're having, as far as their pay, things like that. I mean, if by all rumors and everything, women get paid significantly less than men in the world of pro wrestling, which is kind of a shame, because they take the exact same risks. They have just as much to lose, and they're doing the exact same work. So hopefully it is moving in that direction where they're going to be put on a completely level and equal playing field with the men. Now, does that mean bringing back intergender matches? I don't think that's going to happen with WWE. I really don't. That's just not politically correct to have men and women fighting each other physically. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. You still see it on the indies. You see it on Lucha Underground. As far as especially with Ivelisse, she is one doesn't think twice to get in there and mix it up with the guys, and she's damn good at it. But like I said, I don't think you're going to see that on the big stage that is WWE, just because it would create too much backlash for them, and it just, I don't think, fits with their particular business model at this point, as far as where they want their women's division to go. I don't think you're going to see any kind of intergender matches anymore. I think that's kind of going to be left in the Attitude Era, and that's going to be that. So that's pretty much it for this week. Make sure, like I said, if feel free to leave me any comments, questions. Let me know what you think of my list. What's your list look like? Do I have anything? Do I have it right? Do I have it wrong? Do I have them out of order? Did I miss somebody? Let me know what you think. Make sure you're following the show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all your social media pages, and check out the podcast on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts from. Feel free to drop me an email at catchhookshoot@gmail.com. And I will be back next week breaking down the SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver cards, giving my predictions, things that I would like to see happen, things that I think are going to happen, because I'm sure there will be two different things in a lot of cases. And yeah, definitely looking forward to SummerSlam. I think NXT Takeover is going to probably steal the weekend again, like they usually do. But I think SummerSlam is shaping up to be a really good show. So until then, hope everybody has a good week, and I'll talk to you guys soon.